Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel for the latest, the greatest in boxing. May 6th, this Saturday, Ike was born ready versus Fantastico. Canelo-Alvarez, Saul Alvarez, whatever you prefer to call him, versus son of Mexican legend Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. It's a big fight. It should make good money. I want to hear your pay-per-view predictions and forecasts. How good do you think this particular fight will do? Now, I just read an interesting article and write-up from ringtv.com. I've linked to it in the description. And Ring TV, they talked to Golovkin and no guys promoter Tom Loeffler regarding if Triple G will be in attendance for this big May 6th fight. And Tom Loeffler says he's not planning to go, meaning Golovkin. As of now, we are aiming for the next fight to take place in the fall, most likely in September. So he says, according to Loeffler, Triple G ain't planning on going. And they asked him, would he, if Triple G needs an opponent and Chavez Jr. pulls the upset against Canelo and beats him, would you be willing to face him? And Tom Loeffler says, and I quote, "We would look to make the biggest fight possible depending on who is available and who actually agrees to fight Gennady Golovkin." So that was his take. So I want to know from you guys, do you think this Canelo, if Canelo wins versus Golovkin fight, will happen? To me, I think if Chavez pulls the upset, he has a better likelihood of fighting Gennady Golovkin next. I think you have to go off of what history has showed us. And to me, there is little to no confidence that the fight will absolutely be made without hassle in September between Canelo and Triple G. That's what history has shown us, because they talked in December of 2015 and what was agreed from Team Canelo, Team Golovkin, and the WBC said, you guys hash it out, we're okay with it if you're okay with it, right? And the agreement was both fighters, Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin, have voluntary defenses of their titles at the time and then meet in the September of 2016. They both did that. They both got knockouts. Golovkin fought Dominic Wade in April, I believe. I was at that fight. I covered that fight live. And Canelo fight, he fought against Amir Khan, which was really a welterweight who moved up. And I went to that weigh-in and all that in Las Vegas, right? And they both got knockouts, both won, yet they didn't fight in September. Instead, Canelo vacated his belt, says, I'm not going to be hassled, I'm dealing with this lawsuit, and I'm not going to be forced to do what a sanctioning body or somebody tells me to do. And I got too much going on, basically. Here's the belt, and gave it to Golovkin. Now, that has created a rift between Canelo and Triple G. Or, excuse me, Canelo and the WBC. So many acronyms. Canelo and the WBC. And Canelo has stated he's refusing the commemorative Huichol belt in this Chavez Jr. fight. And he also went on record saying in this fight week that if he does fight Golovkin, it's not going to be for Golovkin's WBC title. Basically, I'm not fucking with them. I'm not messing with them. That's in layman's terms what he's basically saying. I'm not messing with the WBC. So between the history of them not fighting before, I don't see it happening in September. I just think there's too many. Okay, the WBC is not a part of it. You guys have struggled to come to some sort of agreement in 2016, all of 2016. Golden Boy then said, oh, we'll fight him in the fall of 2017. And then they put David Lemieux on the undercard of this Canelo versus Chavez Jr. He's fighting Marcos Reyes, a guy who he probably should beat, and Canelo's favored to beat Chavez Jr. So to me, that looks like a little bit of a premonition or a hint. And I made a video the day the fight was announced that David Lemieux was going to be on the undercard. I told you what the video's on the page, but I told you guys, to me, that's a strong indication that if all else fails with Golovkin negotiations, that's a strong plan B. David Lemieux had a knockout of the year versus Curtis Stevens. Then they're putting him in with somebody who's probably ranked behind where Curtis Stevens was when Lemieux fought him in Marcos Reyes. So if he just knocked out Curtis Stevens, I know styles make fights, but he should be at least the favorite versus Marcos Reyes, who's been stopped. He's been stopped in his last 3 fights, and before that he lost to Chavez Jr., right? So clearly we got to favor David Lemieux there. So to me, it looks like they're trying to build that fight up, or it's definitely a strong possibility. And Golovkin's not going. I don't know. I don't see it unless, like I said, if Chavez Jr., who's advised by Al Heyman, I think if he beats and unseats Canelo, there's a stronger chance that we'll get a Chavez Jr. versus Golovkin. The 2 guys have sparred in the past, and historically speaking, Chavez Jr., win, lose, or draw, disappointment or not, he really seems like he's down to scrap with anybody. He fought Matavia, who was a champion, prime fighter, Hall of Famer, and he fought Andy Lee, a guy with cracks. You know what I mean? He's fighting Canelo now at Canelo, all of Canelo's demands. I've just seen more demands from Team Canelo and Golden Boy. Like Chavez said, I'll make 165, and then they stretched it and made him drop another ½ pound. No, fight at 164.5. They got the money split, the lion's share, everything according to the Chavez family, not just Chavez Jr., but also his dad Sr. They basically gave in to all of Canelo's demands. And Chavez Sr. told ESPN Deportes, en Los Golpes, or whatever show he was on, Chavez Sr. said that it's actually Canelo who's pulling the strings and calling the shots. He's making the final decisions. So I just see that being a damning potential roadblock to Canelo versus Golovkin, because I think, to me, this is just my opinion, I think Canelo is very headstrong, kind of stubborn. He feels he's not getting the credit he deserves, and he's taking a stand with the WBC, which, I mean, he has every right. I don't know, he knows behind the scenes stuff or whatever. He felt he was mistreated and made to look like he was ducking Golovkin or whatever his beef is with the WBC. But now he's publicly putting his foot down, saying, like, basically, I'm big. I'm too big of a star. I don't need their belt, so they could keep it, even no matter who I fight. If I fight Golovkin, I don't want the Huicho WBC commemorative belt. So to me, he sounds kind of stubborn in regards to that, and he's willing to take stands, and he knows his star power is big enough. So that could be a major hurdle, because Golovkin didn't do good numbers with Jacobs on top of in terms of pay-per-view. It was a great fight. I covered that fight live in New York. Great fight, but it didn't do the strongest numbers. The numbers weren't really there. Like, it did less than 200,000. It did 130 to 160,000, let's say. So again, Canelo falls back into the A-side seeding that he's always been, especially if he beats Chavez Jr. So I just see too many hurdles. Is Golovkin, if he didn't want to take 15 million before, then they renegotiate. They might try to offer him Golden Boy or Team Canelo or whoever is doing it, Oscar, Eric Gomez, whoever you want to pin the tail on the donkey and blame. But they might offer Golovkin less than 15 million. Like, hey, we looked at your last numbers, good fight, but I had Jacobs winning. And on top of that, you didn't even do strong pay-per-view numbers. So it just seems like there's going to be some hiccups or hurdles that possibly prevent this from happening in September next. That's just my opinion. But hopefully I'm wrong. I love to be wrong when it's right for boxing. Once again, I'm going to say it again. I like being wrong when it's right for boxing. But check my track record, see what I'm right with and what I'm wrong with. So I told you guys I didn't really see the fight happening in 2016, and I was correct in saying that. And I said that way back in December of 2015, right after they had that negotiation thing. You know what I mean? Because you don't fight Amir Khan, a welterweight, with only 3 welterweight fights. So it's not even a guy with all welterweight fights or a guy who trashed everybody else in the welterweight division. You don't fight him to prepare for Golovkin. It makes no sense. Golovkin is slow. Amir Khan is fast. Golovkin is a full-fledged middleweight. He's not the biggest, but at the same time, he's one of the biggest punchers. So he's far more powerful than a guy like Amir Khan, who would be moving up in weight. That doesn't get you ready for that. You know what I mean? So you guys interpret it how you want. Link in the description for the Ring TV article. Golovkin's probably not going to be in attendance according to his promoter. And They're putting David Lemieux on the undercard, so to me, it looks like that's a fight. They're trying to raise the profile of David Lemieux, get him some exposure on the same card, and possibly build for that. But again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I will report whatever comes out. But to me, Canelo versus Triple G next is a long shot because I just see so many obstacles. The flat rate versus a percentage, $15 million might go down now that Golovkin hasn't performed in terms of his pay-per-view numbers on HBO pay-per-view versus Daniel Jacobs and the David Lemieux fight. In addition, some people thought he lost his last fight, so it didn't necessarily increase his star power. Like Anthony Joshua just knocked out Klitschko, who hasn't been knocked out in a decade. So even despite being knocked down, it raises his profile to me because 90,000 people in attendance. It did good numbers on HBO. It did good numbers on Showtime, and it did good numbers on Sky Sports pay-per-view. Plus, he got the knockout. So he ended. There's no question. There's no doubt who won that fight. Golovkin, I had Golovkin losing. Canelo had Golovkin losing. Adrian Broner, I talked to him. The interviews on the page had Golovkin losing. He says, I was like Lil Wayne. I was screaming, go DJ. DJ referring to Daniel Jacobs. Let me know what you guys think. Will it happen? If Chavez loses to Canelo, will Canelo go on to fight Triple G in September? If Chavez beats Canelo, will he face Golovkin? That's the million-dollar question. You guys let me know what you think. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hey, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.